Very good evening to all of you. On behalf of Auditing and Assurance Standard Board of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India, I welcome you all in today's very important webinar organized by AASB of ICI. Today's topic is very important, that is the standards on auditing on specialized areas. We have already done one standard on this. Now today we are going to cover rest of the two standards, SA 805 and SA 810 today. And in order to tackle with these two important topics of on specialized areas, we are having with us CA Sarika Hussain ma'am. So on behalf of AASB of ICI, I extend my warm welcome to you ma'am on this CP platform, on this Zoom platform, and this webinar organized by AASB of ICI. Welcome to you ma'am. Namaste. I also welcome all the participants of today's webinar on this particular topic. So before I formally start the webinar, it is my proud privilege to share with all of you the brief profile of Madam Sarika Hussain ji. Madam Sarika ji is a chartered accountant and company secretary and also hold a diploma in IFRS from ACCA UK and in BRSR from ICAI. She has got around 19 years of post-qualification experience. Currently, she is heading the technical function of Bajaj in India and also leading firms ESG and sustainability practice. Her current responsibilities include technical research, advisory, and L&D initiatives of the firm. Her past experience includes servicing large clients in areas of audit, accounting, and advisory. On professional front, she has co-authored 2 books and also speaks on a couple of forums. She has also keeps taking on a couple of educational projects with Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. She has taken so many certificate courses organized by organized by various committees of ICI. She has also given so many lectures as well as webinars as well as seminars, and during COVID time period, various virtual CP meetings and webinars at various platforms of Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. So once again, I welcome you, ma'am, on this 121st CP program organized by AASP of ICI this year. So without wasting much more time, now I request Madam Sarika Hussain ji to please deliberate on the topic and enlighten all of us. Over to you, Sarika ma'am, please.
Thank you so much for the brief introduction and so much about me. So I'll just request to share my screen and please let me know if it is visible,
Yes,
and then we'll start.
It is fine. Kindly make it full screen, please.
Yeah, I think I have done it, sir.
Ji ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, it's fine, ma'am.
Okay, so a warm good evening to everybody, and sir has already introduced myself. Apart from my professional work, which I keep doing, that's my passion to speak on a couple of standards or auditing standards, or now ESG is my new baby, so I keep speaking on that as well. So at some other forum, we'll reach out again to you and I'll share my thoughts on ESG and sustainability as well. So the today's job which has been given to me is discussing certain important aspects on 2 very important essays, which are 805 and 810. So we have been reading these auditing standards ever since we started doing our chartered accountancy. For me, it was all fresh because I am a science graduate. So when I started reading these auditing standards, these were of too much interest to me because everything and anything what I read was new, fresh to me, and I was keen to learn these standards in detail. What happens at times then, when we are doing our chartered accountancy, it's the focus that, we have to clear the examination, we have to become the chartered accountant first, and then at times we miss the essence of those standards. And the beauty of these standards are that when we start reading these standards one by one, these seem so easy to understand, read, and apply. But when we actually come to the practical reality, when we start doing the assignments, at times we are so confused that which standards are to be used, when to be used, and what are the differences between certain standards. At times we struggle whether these standards or guidance note or any other standard which should be applicable. So there are different series of standards which we will be quickly understanding, so that before we go to the topics today, we understand that why we are specifically understanding these standards in isolation than other standards. Because ever since we started reading these standards, we always focus on the main standards on auditing, which either talks about documentation, risk assessment, and if we go to a higher side, we go to auditor's report 700 series. But at times, these are very important standards which are required to be understand. And why it is important to understand these also, because when I started doing my chartered accountancy, my boss, my mentor used to tell me, uh, the books, the guidance is available with all of us all the time, but being a good professional, we should at least first know which standard to be used, which guidance to be used, how it is to be used, when it is to be used. That is most important. Remembering all guidance and all standards together always, and that too with the breathless amendments which are happening to all regulations and standards every day, we get to see. It is really difficult to remember everything together forever, very, very difficult, given the fact we have diversified areas to understand. So, what is more important, or rather, the most important aspect of understanding our profession is we should know what to study, when to study, what to study, at what point in time. And I have seen the portal of ICI, and I've been referring to the ICI portal for so long. It's so customized. Everything as a library is all available handy. So my only request is never Google any standard as it is. Just go to the ICI website, go to the resources, and find the appropriate guidance or topic which you're looking at in a systematic way. It will help us taking to the updated one in the first place itself, because at times or mostly Google gives us wrong results, because Google works on a very different mechanism and its ecosystem is quite different. It goes with clicks, it goes with promotion, etc. So never Google any standard or technical guidance directly from Google. Go to the library and then find it. So in our today's agenda, we have to cover what are the structures of the standards which are issued by AASB. And as I said, why it is important to understand, do not read or understand these standards in isolation. Just understand these as a part of the umbrella of all the standards which are issued by ICI and why we are studying it. We will definitely cover 805 at first place, and then 810. So the content seems to be quite on a lower side, but this has a lot to cover. So first of all, let's understand the structure of the standards which are issued by the AASB. So first of all, as a Bible, or as the biggest thing which we have to understand, and where we see ourselves bound by is the Chartered Accountants Act, Code of Ethics, and other relevant pronouncements which relates to the Chartered Accountancy Act or ethics, wherein all the chartered accountants are bound by. Then comes the standards on quality control. So these standards are largely, this is standard SQC1, and now the new standard is coming up on the pace of international one. Our entire firm needs to follow certain rules, principles, the quality standards which are governed by SQC. And then comes all the standards which are issued within the purview of Council of ICAI. And here we have two types of services. One is assurance services, which covers the framework for assurance standards. And we have the review standard series. And this series runs from 100 to 999. And we will refer to the next slide for the same. And we have standards on review engagements, which are called as SRE, that runs into the series of 2000 to 2699. Then we have assurance standards other than audit or review of historical financial statements. So largely our standards on auditing are divided into two parts. One is related to audit and review of historical financial statements, and the other one are other than that. So this series is covered within 3000 to 3699. These are called as SAE. And then last on the screen, you have related services. This series is called as SRS. I was taking recently interview of one of our professional chartered accountants colleague on a very initial stage, and I asked this question: how many types of auditing standards are there? Or so he was not able to understand my question. I tried to paraphrase it in multiple ways. Then I gave him the hint of SRE, SRS, etc., etc. But he was not able to comprehensively tell me all these four series, and I felt very bad because as and when we become chartered accountant, our focus is largely on taxation, our focus is largely on accounting standards, and at the most on IFRS or Ind AS or Companies Act rather. But we largely forget to revise or review our auditing standards. And I am really surprised why we do so, because auditing standards are our tool to do the effective audit. So unless we equip ourselves with the relevant auditing standards, the principles contained within auditing standards, trust me, we would not be able to become a good auditor. You know, as I said, these auditing standards seem very easy to understand, the series, etc. डॉक्यूमेंटेशन क्या है, डॉक्यूमेंटेशन ही तो करना है, what is risk assessment, कैसे करना है, what are assertions. These seem very simple, but these are really critical to understand. Step by step approach which is given in these specific standards are really, really important. As a matter of fact, the companies also are subject to so many reviews. We as audit firms are also under the obligation of going QRB reviews and peers review, and now that maturity model is there for our firm to assess ourselves where we stand in terms of the quality standards. So many things are there where we have to apply and maintain our audit quality. Auditing standards is the biggest pillar of our audit services. So unless we update ourselves, unless unless we keep ourselves equipped with these tools, we would not be able to do effective audit. So it is very, very important to understand these series, what standards are covered within these series, and most importantly, which standard will be applied in a particular situation. Can you please keep on mute? Sorry. So it is very important for everybody to understand these series, the standards contained within these series, and most importantly, when to apply which is standard. Because I have seen a couple of reports where the engagement says something else, but the report, the standard which was used was not the best one which should have been used. So it is the matter of a professional dignity to use and apply the right standard. So as a matter, we have different series, as we just discussed. In those four categories, we have different series of standards, like introductory matters are covered under standard on auditing 100 to 199. General principles and responsibilities range from 200 to 299, as I said. Risk assessment and response to risk assessed is covered within 300 to 499. Then we have audit evidence, which is covered under 500 to 599. Then we have using the work of other auditors. It is 600 to 699. Audit conclusions and reporting, as I said, as and when it comes to standards on auditing, generally SS 700 series comes into our head, and we think that these are the only important standard, which is not the case. And then we have got this specialized area like 800 to 899. And as sir rightly said, one standard out of these three standards, which is 800, is already been covered by the previous presenter. I would be covering 805 and 810. My apologies, it's 820, it is written here. So specific areas under essays, if we talk about, as I said, we have general purpose framework, which are covered 100 to 700, as we just discussed. Special purpose framework is 800, 805, and 810. It is just a summary sheet. So out of the right bucket, we would be covering 805 and 810. So the entire background so far was to reach to this slide to tell all of us that we would be studying 805 and 810. So to start with 800, so this standard talks about specific considerations while we are auditing any financial statements prepared in accordance with special purpose framework. So as I said, this has already been covered, but just to differentiate with rest of the two standards, which is my domain today, 805 and 810, I've covered it slightly in a few words so that we know these three standards together, even you attended the previous session or not. So just two slides on this, and then we'll move to today's topic. So if we talk about 800, so uh, this standard deals with a special consideration regarding applicability of my normal standards, which range from 100 to 700, while we are auditing the financial statements which are prepared in accordance with special purpose framework. What is a special purpose framework? In nutshell, any framework which is not a general purpose framework. What is general purpose framework? There is a technical definition to it, but largely a framework wherein the financial statements which is ever prepared can be used for any purpose, like for MCA purpose or for any other purpose. If that framework gives me the liberty to use those financial statements to be used for any purpose, then it is a general purpose framework. On the contrary, special purpose framework is not a general purpose framework. That means it is specifically prepared for a specific or designated purpose, and it has some rules and regulation which are not generic in nature. So this standard talks about auditor's report on special purpose framework, and it will also include an emphasis of matter paragraph highlighting to the users of the financial statements or the auditor's report that those financial statements are prepared using the special purpose framework, because of which the financial statement are not general purpose financial statement and therefore cannot be used for any other purpose. That is the objective of SA 800. If I talk about framework, as I said, it is a special purpose framework, and while we report under SA 800, we can use either fair presentation or compliance framework. I'm sure by now we should be clear what is fair presentation and what is compliance framework, but just for the benefit and refreshing a memory, fair presentation generally means whether that framework gives true and fair view of, yeah, those financial statements are prepared as per the special purpose framework, which gives true and fair view. And compliance framework means that those financial statements comply with the special purpose framework. So the process, the procedures performed to reach to either of the conclusion are slightly different, where the approach is slightly different if we use either fair presentation model or compliance framework. So examples of special purpose framework may be cash receipts, disbursement, basis of accounting, etc., prepared for creditors specifically. Financial reporting provisions established by a regulator to meet the requirement of a regulator in particular, or financial reporting provision of a contract, or for bond or loan agreement for any of the project grant. Illustrative formats which are given under SA 800 are, I think, two. One is where the report of financial statement is prepared using the financial reporting provision of a contract, which is a special purpose framework, and compliance framework is used. The other one is also established by a regulator, and the example is given for the fair presentation framework. Right? So one is for compliance framework, the other one is for fair presentation framework, and both of these comply with the special purpose framework as far as the preparation of the financial statements are concerned. So this was a quick summary of SA 800 for our better understanding of the new standards, so that we can differentiate the new standards which we are going to deliberate today. So 800, you may want to take a note of it, or you may want to remind it. SA 800 talks about a special consideration regarding special purpose framework usage. Now we are moving to our own topic today, that is SA 805. That is again special consideration regarding audit of single financial statements and specific elements, accounts, or items of a financial statement. At times, because of a specific need, we do not need the audit, or we do not require the audit of the entire set of financial statements, and either we need to audit a single financial statement or a specific element or account or item. How this is done, why it is done, we will understand. For example, my board wants the audit of cash flow statement, so that will be covered here. So as I said, it is very, very important to know whether that is possible. That is my first assessment which goes in my mind, whether the audit of only cash flow is possible, whether the audit of only fund flow statement is possible, whether the audit of only debtors is possible. That is my question one. If that is possible, then which is the standard which deals with it? I might, if I haven't read this standard ever, I would always be skeptical if it is possible. Now, while we understand it, I may not recall the entire standard, but I know that there is a specific standard which deals with this aspect. Okay, so 805 deals with audit of single financial statement or any specific element covered within the financial statement, and it is very much doable, right? That is one. Second, how it is to be used. And when I talk about how it is to be used, what should be my engagement terms, what should be my risk assessment, what should be my planning, what should be my procedural aspect which I have to take care while auditing that item, how to report, what caution I need to take while I am either auditing that item or I'm reporting it. And since any company, as per the regulatory requirement, while they are subject to other audits also, so what is the correlation between this type of audit and any other type of audit? That is also very, very important. These two items cannot go in different directions. So my complete set of financial statements cannot state my revenue to be X number. And while this, if I talk about statement audit of profit and loss only, so my profit and loss account as per SA 805, if I have audited in that framework, should not state number Y. So while I'm allowed to do that audit, but there has to be some point which I have to keep in mind while I'm auditing this under this standard, that if another report, another set of financial statements are available with the company, these two should match. And that is something our professional mind should work. So these are some of the considerations which are written in the standards, which we will be discussing. So how my scope and effective date works under this standard. So if I talk about scope and why it is important to understand a scope, be it accounting standard, be it auditing standard, it is imperative for a professional to know whether the item of consideration in front of me will be covered here or somewhere else. If it is covered in one standard, it goes without saying it will be scoped out from other standards. So if a particular item, as I said, is covered here, will be scoped out, but scoping is a must. If I have to go to Delhi, I will ride in the bus which is going to Delhi. If I ride in a different bus altogether at the first place, my selection is wrong, I will not reach to the right direction, that is for sure, right? So scoping is very, very important. I have to know whether this standard is covered here or somewhere else. There will be certain places where there will be very much thin line difference whether this particular item will be audited here or somewhere else, right? Whether this aspect, the guidance of it is covered here or somewhere else. So scope is very, very important. So scope here is, this standard deals with application of normal standards on auditing, which is 100 to 700, to an audit of single financial statements or a specific element or any account or item of financial statements. What are these? What are the examples? After a few slides, we will understand. This essay does not apply to a report of a component auditor. So if a subsidiary's auditor is auditing financial statements for the parent auditor to club to consolidate in the consolidated financial statement, this standard is not to be chosen. As I said, scoping is very much easy. If I have to go to Delhi, I have to take a bus which will take me to Delhi, not to Ahmedabad. So this essay will work in consent with other standards and will not override the requirement of other standards. Effective date, it is not a very new standard. It is applicable from 1st April 2021, and we have been using it. So what is the objective? First of all, this standard addresses appropriately the special considerations that are relevant to the acceptance of the engagement. So this will tell me how to accept the engagement, whether to accept the engagement, in which condition I should not be accepting the engagement, etc. Also tells me the planning performance of the engagement. As I said, this standard is not only meant कि आप इस standard में जाके ये audit कर सकते हैं. This is also meant for me to show me the path, how to plan, how to perform the engagement. And the most important aspect, I always tell my colleagues, my juniors, my peers, we spend a lot of time in auditing. We do, interim audits of our clients. We do so many discussions. We spend 3-4 months on large clients to do audit, etc., etc. And while it comes to writing a report, we are least bothered. So as if we prepared, year long for an examination, and on the day of examination we sleep. It is like that. So it is very, very important to spend good amount of time while we are drafting our opinion. What to write, when to write. Is it a modified opinion? Is it a disclaimer of opinion? Is it something which needs to be specifically addressed in the opinion paragraph? Is it something we have to restrict the usage of, etc., etc., etc.? The list is long, and we will be discussing that in a bit. So while we spend good amount of time in audit, one person was asking, that person was not a chartered accountant. He said, I always look at the report of ITC and Infosys. Every time they have the same report, unless the format is revised by ICI, and always says it gives true and fair view. It should have taken a very less time for the auditors to conclude, because every time the company comes up clean. So I said, it's not the way you are looking at it. So to come clean is the objective of the company, and for that they do a lot. They are very fair in terms of how they are dealing in the business. However, the auditors also apply a good amount of time, and apply their professional skepticism and apply all the audit procedures to reach to this conclusion. It doesn't mean that the report, which seems so simple and has the minimalistic items in it, where the audit report seems the same for every year, it doesn't mean that the auditors did not apply or did not invest sufficient time on the audit. So my only request is, while we are preparing the audit opinion for any engagement, be it a similar engagement or a different engagement, I cannot change my auditor's report, which deals with my quarterly report, with my annual financial report. It has to be different, and it will be different. While my listed clients will be driven along with MCA by SEBI's regulation as well, I have to keep eyes on MCA provisions as well as the LODR provisions as well. I cannot copy paste my previous year's opinion with this. Similarly, if this is the special audit of only cash flow statement, and the company is also undergoing the annual auditor's report, I cannot withdraw that amount and only write cash flow statement. No, no, no. The report format has to be different. The approach to reach to that item is different, because if I'm doing the audit of entire financial statements, my approach, my materiality, my audit procedures, my risk assessment definitely has to change. If I'm only doing the audit of cash flow statement, my approach to the audit, my risk assessment, my discussion, my report writing has to be different. So this standard tells me how to frame an opinion while I am only issuing the report on some bit of it, not the entire set of financial statements. Coming to definitions, because again, it is very, very important to understand some of the aspect, and these are building blocks. Unless we understand the smaller bit of it, we won't be able to bring the entire picture of the standard. So if I talk about definitions, so what are elements of financial statements? So these are elements, means account, item of financial statements, debtor, creditor, financial instruments can be some of the examples, and we'll understand those examples also again in detail. Financial reporting standards may be accounting standards either issued by ICI if it's a non-corporate assessees, or AS if it is not covered under Ind AS, or these standards which are notified by CG, maybe AS or Ind AS, or any other standards for local bodies. So financial reporting standards will differ depending upon where the entity is covered and what is the nature of the entity. Financial reporting standards, I think again, it's this is financial reporting. It should not be financial reporting standards. My apologies. These are financial the financial statements. So a single financial statements, for example, maybe CFS. CFS here doesn't mean consolidated financial statement. It is meant here to be a cash flow statement or a specific item of financial statement, for example, cash and bank balance. And it also includes related notes. So if I talk about auditing only cash flow statement, it should accompany the notes also, the basis of preparation of those cash flow statements, etc. Some of the examples as I committed. So account receivable, allowances for debtors, inventory, liability accrued. So some of your creditor might also want to see what is the total debt position of your company, right? And we can audit that as well. So again, as I said, we have to be, while we're talking with the clients, and clients have all questions from all the directions, from all ages, and we should be ready with those answers. We should not every time say, I will check and get back to you, because these standards, as I said, is not new. This is prevalent and applicable from 2021. And even for this, if we have to answer them back saying that hum aapko dekh ke batate hain, so it will not give a good impression. It will not give a value addition. And I will not sound as a good professional. So I should know this standard exists and when it is to be used. Maybe a schedule of externally managed asset and income of a private pension plan with notes is again one of the example of a specific element. A schedule of net tangible assets including related notes is again something which can be audited under this standard. Schedule of disbursement in relation to a lease property including extraordinary notes is again one of the examples. A schedule of profit participation or employee bonuses including explanatory notes is one of the examples again. Now, so this was so far the foundation, right? When to consider this standard, what items can be audited under the standards, etc., etc. Now I'm in the right bus of Delhi. I'm going there. I chose the right path. How to go, right? Though the driver is there, but I should know if I have to guide him where to go. Then what are the procedures to reach to Delhi is something I should know. So if I know that I will land on this standard for auditing a particular item, I will choose this. Now, how to proceed to report in the right or the best way. So this section talks about consideration when accepting the engagement. So I'm not always obliged to accept any kind of engagement from the auditee. I have all the rights to deny if that is not in my professional judgment, the right engagement to be accepted, right? Because I have to abide with the Code of Ethics, Chartered Accountants Act, the SQC1, as I said, and the auditing standards, as we mentioned initially. So, what are the considerations I have to go through? First of all, what are the normal standards which are applicable to that engagement? Whether that particular engagement is acceptable as per the financial reporting framework, and how to form an opinion, how my opinion would look like. So I always ask my daughter, what is your report card, right? So at times we are so professionally busy, we miss the process of uh, teaching them, educating them, but we are always concerned with the final product, which is the result at the year end. So for us also as a chartered accountant, we should be concerned with the report, how my report, which is nothing but my opinion, would look like, right? So these consideration, even till the end, I have to consider whether I will be in a position to issue an opinion on a particular matter. If yes, then only I can accept. So if I talk about application of SA, what do I mean, right? If I am meeting the independence requirement, for example, if I am already doing or indulged with that client, doing any kind of engagement, which is not leaving me independent of this assignment, I cannot accept that, right? Period. Khatam. So I have to understand the independence rule first, then anything else, if I'm going to accept this kind of engagement. Similarly, if the auditor is engaged to do the complete set of audit earlier, for me, if I'm already doing that complete set of financial statement audit, for me, it's very easy to take up that engagement. This one, the limited one, is very easy because I have to extract that information. The confidence level is more if I'm doing the audit of complete set of financial statements earlier, rather than if I am only going and taking the isolated engagement. Acceptability of financial reporting is a framework. So if it's a general purpose financial statement, it's the most easy thing to do, right? Because general purpose frameworks are generally accepted by everybody. So if I am also undergoing that framework for acceptance of this assignment also, it is easy for me to accept. So I have to understand which kind of reporting framework that financial statements will be reported in will make me confident of accepting that engagement, yes or no. Similarly, form of opinion, as we just understood, I have to understand the kind of opinion which I am going to issue is appropriate or not. Will I be able to issue that report or not? For example, if my client comes and say that, please audit my revenue, and say my revenue is true and correct, will I be in a position to say true and correct? Because the moment I say true and correct, that means I'm taking the complete onus, 100% onus of the verification of that particular item. I can say it is in compliance with that uh, rules or regulation or framework, that is the compliance framework, or I can say it is giving a true and fair view, which is a fair presentation framework. I cannot say that the revenue of the company is true and correct. I don't know. So that opinion which I'm going to issue will drive my engagement also. If I'm not in a position to meet clients' expectation, and if that expectation is not genuine, I will not accept that. Again, as I said, is it a fair presentation or compliance framework? I have to understand, and I have to see whether I have to write. It depends upon that. That point number 3 is driving from point number 2 only. So while I'm accepting, I have to consider all of these aspects. Now I know where to go, right? At the start, I should know should I go or not? That is my engagement assessment. If I have accepted, how to plan, how to perform, that this section will guide me through those two aspects. So first of all, if I have to plan my standard, or I have to plan my engagement related to a particular item of a financial statement, I cannot ignore my existing essays. I have to consider those essays as well. For example, if I talk about documentation, so this standard nowhere tells me how to document. If I want to assess risk or responses to risk, this standard does not tell me how to do that in normal circumstances. So for that purpose, where it talks about planning, documentation, evidence collection, risk assessment, and response to risk assessment, etc., will be driven by normal standards, and therefore I have to consider those. Those essays generally, as I said, I talk about documentation, fraud, risk assessment, etc., are generally written in the context of complete set of financial statements or general purpose financial statements rather. So I have to modify some bit of it here for accepting my audit of these items. For example, as I mentioned, if I am going for an audit of entire set of financial statements, including balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statements, notes, etc., and the complete set of notes are available, my risk assessment approach, my approach to talk to the management will be very much different than a situation if I'm only auditing cash flow statement, because I'm just auditing a piece of it. So I'm disconnecting that piece with other items of the financial statement. Therefore, to audit that discrete information, I should approach my assignment in a different manner. Principles will apply, I'm not denying, but I have to modify my approach. Audit evidence, how I will collect my audit evidence in this purpose, and audit evidence which I obtained for complete set of financial statement. If I am the auditor, then I have to consider those also, but I have to modify that approach because I am doing the audit of a piece of it. So I should be able to justify my individual assignment that in isolation, this is my complete, sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. So SAAE is the short form of sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. Also, I should be in a position to perform audit procedures to audit which are related items arising from the audit of SFS. Here means single financial statements or items of single financial statements. So I should be able to draft my procedures to reach to a conclusion which are related to each other. NTE, here I mean nature, timing and extent of audit procedures which are applied, and evaluation of uncorrected misstatement shall differ based on the materiality of complete set of financial statements. So as I said, if it's a complete set of financial statement, my approach for any uncorrected misstatement will be different than if I am only auditing a part of it. How these will be done, we will understand in a little bit more details. Now, coming to opinion and reporting consideration, at the end of this essay 805, we will also see some of the examples of the report and which situation, how to draft the audit opinion, that it will give you more clarity. So while I'm looking at opining on any particular set of financial statements or item of it, first of all, we have to assess whether it's a separate opinion or it is together with my complete set of financial statements as well. Second point of consideration, whether this report on either one item of financial statements or one item of any caption like bank or debtor, etc., will be published with the complete audited financial statement, or it will be a separate report. Secondly, there may be a situation where the presentation of the single set of financial statement or item of financial statement is not looking different from my complete set of financial statements. So there may be a malified intention, or there may be an error, there may be something else where those two things are not looking different. Then the auditor is required to ask the management to rectify the situation, that so that since these are two different kind of report, it should look different. If still management is not able to differentiate it, the auditor will take appropriate action unless that is being rectified. Now, if the auditor's report contain a modified opinion on entity's complete set of financial statement. Now, as I said, if the company is already undergoing the audit of complete set of financial statements and this kind of report also, I cannot close my eyes. जो हो रहा है वो पहले हुआ होगा, किसी और ने किया होगा. I have to match these two. अगर आपके कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में पर्टिकुलर नंबर रेवेन्यू के हैं, तो आप उस रेवेन्यू को आपने बेशक से अपने लिए ऑडिट किया है, अलग से ऑडिट किया है, यू हैव अप्रोच्ड दिस असाइनमेंट सेपरेटली, बट यू कैन नॉट क्लोज योर आईज टू लुक एट व्हाट इज बीइंग रिपोर्टेड इन द कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. यू हैव टू corroborate those information to match. So suppose the basis of preparation of the financial statement, which is given in the complete set of financial statement, is written in a different way, and what is being provided to you for this purpose is different. You have to come with the questioning mind with the management that why it is looking different, right? So this is your professional competency to look and to corroborate the information. So this is the example wherein if the auditor's report on the complete set of financial statement is modified, or emphasis of matter is given, or any other matter paragraph is given, the auditor shall determine whether it will impact this assignment also, this report on the single set of financial statement or item of financial statement, and you have to consider replicating the similar kind of conclusion. If the auditor has already given that kind of reporting on complete set of financial statement, the auditor shall not express an unmodified opinion on single financial statements or the complete set of financial statement. So what this point what they're saying, अगर आपके complete set of financial statements पे आपने adverse opinion दिया है या disclaimer दिया है, so आप उस पे आपका जो ये एक set of financial statements है जिसपे आप opinion दे रहे हैं, you have to consider the similar fact, and you cannot give a clean report on single financial statements. But there are a few circumstances where you can do, जहाँ पे आपका prohibited by law नहीं है and दोनों आपके publish साथ में नहीं हो रहे हैं, और it may be कि आपका जो एक item है वो that is not pervasive enough for your entire set of financial statements. So in a very limited situation, even if your complete set of financial statements are disclaimed or opinion is modified, you can still choose to give unmodified opinion on that part if that is clean and that is not impacting your entire set of financial statements. So now, towards the end of this standard, which is 805, we will take up a few illustrative report. Please bring back all your energies to see, because as I said, पूरा स्टैंडर्ड पढ़ लिया, पूरी प्रेमिसेस समझ ली, और जब तक आप वो रिपोर्ट नहीं देखेंगे कि वो कैसी दिखती है और किस सिचुएशन में कौन सी रिपोर्ट हम बात करते हैं. So ये जो स्टैंडर्ड है, it gives us 3 illustrative report, but as I said, this is not the end of the word. There may be different combinations of the report. For example, यहाँ पे going concern के बारे में नहीं बताया है, so you might have another angle to your report where the going concern viability is also questioned. Similarly, you might have disclaimer of opinion which might not be given here. So as I initially said, whatever normal standards of auditing are applicable to complete set of financial statements for a general purpose financial statement, we have to apply those standards, be documentation, etc., to this situation as well. So this is how my report look like. One big word of caution here: if you look at your reports under SA 700, 701, etc., the reporting format is different, where the opinion paragraphs come first. Here, this is not revised so far, therefore we are following, and we should follow the previous format only, wherein the management responsibility paragraph is given first. And that's where, as I said, the discussion comes into picture, that we should know what is written, what is right at the moment, because the standard has not revised the format. And if that engagement is specifically in that standard, it is most viable option to use the format which is given in that very standard, right? So here, if we look at this illustration, just understand the type of this illustration. An illustration one, which says an auditor's report on a single financial statement prepared in accordance with general purpose framework and is a fair presentation framework. So how it is given, आपका शुरू में normal paragraph आया है, where we have said we have audited the accompanying balance sheet of ABC company as at 31st March 2021 or whatever X1. A summary of significant accounting policies, also another explanatory statement, which is together called as the financial statements. So यहाँ पे उन्होंने पूरा बैलेंस शीट को कंसिडर किया है. मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी में दे हैव सिंपली फॉलोड द अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड अंडर कंपनीज एक्ट. And then auditor's responsibility is based on the audit. This is a normal paragraph as we read, right? This is normal paragraph. Now read the opinion paragraph. In our opinion, the financial statement gives true and fair view, because that is a fair presentation framework. State of affairs of company this at a particular date in accordance with the Companies Act, read together with this, etc., relevant to preparing the financial statement. So that's a normal case of SA05, where single financial statement is presented or reported upon as per general purpose framework and fair presentation framework, where we have written true and fair view. Now moving to illustration 2, it is modified a bit. It says an auditor's report on a single financial statement prepared in accordance with a special purpose framework. So here, in place of general purpose framework, it's a special purpose framework. For the purpose of this illustration, a fair presentation framework is again followed. So यहाँ पे कुछ examples, मतलब जो illustration उन्होंने दिया है उसमें they have given some sort of case, क्या उसने क्या यहाँ पे consider हुआ है. So they have considered the audit of cash receipts and disbursement, that is called as single financial statement. Here they are termed it as single financial statement, has been prepared by the management in accordance with cash and receipt disbursement basis accounting to respond to a specific request, right? And it is a fair presentation, and the auditor has concluded that it is a true and fair view opinion, and distribution of the auditor's report is not restricted. What does that mean? So as and when we work for a specific purpose and that is specifically used for that very purpose, there is a specific paragraph called restriction of usage paragraph, which is given. Here they have specifically mentioned, though it is for a very specific cause, for a very specific purpose, but they have not restricted the usage. मतलब आप इसको बिना auditor की permission के किसी और को भी आप submit कर सकते हो. But wherever you see a restriction of usage paragraph, that means that report is restricted for that very purpose, but with the permission of the auditor, you can use it for the other purpose also. But in writing, the permission of auditor is to be obtained. But यहाँ पे ऐसा नहीं है, इसीलिए आप इसको किसी और purpose के लिए भी use कर सकते हैं. So a normal, what they have written is they have prepared auditor's responsibility opinion. Obviously, they will write financial statements give true and fair view. अगर ये कंप्लायंस फ्रेमवर्क होता तो हम लिखते कि आर इन अकॉर्डेंस विद दिस फ्रेमवर्क, और फ्रेमवर्क में ऑब्वियसली वो फ्रेमवर्क कहीं पे डिफाइन होता तो नोट्स का कोई रेफरेंस आता, सो वो रेफरेंस आता या किसी अग्रीमेंट का रेफरेंस आता, वॉट एवर द केस में भी, जो आपका मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी में भी आता। सो क्योंकि ये कंप्लायंस फ्रेमवर्क नहीं है, फेयर प्रेजेंटेशन फ्रेमवर्क है, देयरफॉर दे हैव रिटन ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू with respect to cash and disbursement of ABC Limited in accordance with the cash receipts disbursement basis of accounting. Yes, they have described in the note to the financial statements. Basis of accounting, they have written here itself. Without modifying our audit opinion, we draw attention to this, to the financial statement, which describes the basis of accounting. The financial statement is prepared to provide the information to a particular creditor. As a result, the statement may not be suitable for another purpose. So they have restricted the usage also, that this is only for this purpose, और किसी और purpose के लिए वो use नहीं हो सकता. This is a normal signature block. See, the third illustration what they have given is, it's a compliance framework. It's a special purpose framework also for preparation of the financial statements. And they are again reporting on the specific element or account. So normal management responsibility, auditor's responsibility paragraph. If we come to the opinion paragraph directly, it says, in our opinion, the financial information in the schedule to the liability for incurred but not reported claims of ABC insurance companies as at 31st March. This is prepared in all material aspects in accordance with dash. They have given they have asked you to describe the financial reporting provisions established by the regulator. So whatever the case may be, you have to write here. And they have also defined the basis of accounting and restriction of distribution also. So depending upon the terms of the engagement and the nature of assignment, we will keep modifying the report. But the point of caution which I'm trying to make here is, we should know these basic concepts. What is the meaning of compliance framework? So if you look at, it is not writing anywhere, it is giving true and fair view. It is writing, it is in accordance with that particular thing. That means whether it is complying with that or not, that is a compliance framework. अगर वो fair presentation framework होगा तो वहाँ पे true and fair view आपको मिलेगा. So these are basic things which we as auditors should know. And अगर इन basic चीजों पे अगर हम गलती करेंगे, we are not the right auditors. So these things come from these technical standards, and it is very, very important. Just like accounting standards, IFRS, or any other technical literature you read, even for taxation, GST, ये भी बहुत जरूरी है जो हमें पढ़ना है, और we have to keep ourselves updated. So we are done with one standard for the day. I know I took a little time in the beginning to set the background, but that was essential for a very simple reason. We do not have to read these two standards, SA 805 and 810, in isolation. हमें उसका पूरा macro picture we should know, so that while we are applying these standards, we should know how to and when to scope out other standards. So ये जो मेरा special consideration वाला series है, this comprises of 3 standards. So I should know where 800 needs to be applied, where 805 needs to be applied, where 810 needs to be applied, and forget about only these 3 standards. Where this series is only to be applied. Why not SA 700? Why here? So I might mistake using SA 700 का report, और वहाँ पे financial statements की जगह पे I can only write cash flow statement, but that will not be correct statement, because मेरी report SA 700 में हो ही नहीं सकती अगर वो सिर्फ cash flow statement के ऊपर है. अगर वो सिर्फ एक element के ऊपर है, I have no choice but to go to 805. अगर मैं summary financial statements की बात कर रही हूँ, I cannot go to 805 or 800. So I cannot say my summary financial statements are prepared in my special purpose framework. No, not at all. Summary financial statement is the squeezed version of my complete set of financial statement. These are not prepared. These might be prepared under special purpose framework, but summary financial statement in its own definition has a different meaning, which cannot be interchanged with 800 or 805 or 700 or any other standard on the earth. So जो जिसका फ्रेमवर्क है वो वहीं पे फिट होगा. एंड इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. प्लीज डू नॉट टेक दीज ऑन अ लाइटर साइड कि ये ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड ही तो है, पढ़ लेंगे, या आसान ही तो है. ऐसा नहीं है. if you may do n number of procedures at a client, आपने fraud assessment भी कर लिया, आपने डेटर्स रिकंसिलिएशन भी कर लिया, बैंक रिको भी कर लिया, सब कुछ कर लिया, बट आपका रिपोर्ट ही गलत है, सो जो आपने किया वो सभी गलत है. So report has to be right, accurate, and in the right standard. Now we are moving to the next standard for today, and the last standard in the series of special consideration, which is 810. As I said, and as the name suggests, this is the engagement to report upon summary financial statements. So again, scope and effective date. So scoping, I have to write in the right bus. So this deals with the auditor's responsibility when I am supposed to audit the summary financial statement. What is summary financial statement? There's a typical definition to it. We will understand, but as chartered accountants, we know what are summary financial statements. And largely, these are derived from the audited financial statements, which are audited in accordance with essay by the same auditor. So again, this is not a new standard, again, equally applicable from 1st April 2021. What is the objective? So first of all, the objective of this standard is to determine appropriateness of accepting the engagement or not. As if हमने जैसे पहले standard में पढ़ा था कि first place पे I am not under any deemed obligation कि client ने हमें कुछ भी काम दिया तो we have to do it. I have to apply my skeptical mind whether I am required, and I should accept that. Second, forming an opinion on summary financial statements based on my evaluation of the conclusion drawn from the evidence obtained. अब मैंने एक बार assignment accept कर लिया. Throughout the engagement time and even at the time of writing my report, I am again authorized to withdraw from the engagement if I feel that is not the right assignment for me, not in terms of money I'm talking about, but I'm talking about my professional responsibilities. Expressing of an opinion, again, this is my report card. I might have studied my chartered accountancy, but जब तक मैं CA के पेपर नहीं लिखूंगी, पास नहीं करूंगी, I will not be called as a chartered accountant. Similarly, I have accepted, I did my risk assessment, I did planning, I did inquiries, I did analytical procedures, etc. But unless I am reaching to the right conclusion by writing my written report, I will not be completing my assignment. And that these three are the main objectives to guide me as an auditor for this audit of summary financial statements. Now coming to definitions, which is again, what is applied criteria? So this English terminology seems easy, but applied criteria को आप ऐसे समझिए कि what is the framework? So the applied criteria, which is applied by the management in preparation of summary financial statement. What do you mean by applied criteria? Because ये terminology आप throughout the standard आप पढ़ते रहेंगे और you'll be finding it difficult अगर आपको अभी ये मतलब नहीं समझ आए. Applied criteria मतलब कि आपने या management ने rather वो summary financial statements बनाए कैसे हैं, क्या basis of preparation है, that is, so I got the right word. So basis of preparation or basis of designing that summary financial statement is my applied criteria. Audited financial statements, everybody knows. Summary financial statements, इसका ये technical definition यहाँ पे समझते हैं, which is very important. So we'll read word by word. Historical financial information which are derived from financial statements, but that are less in detail than the financial statements, while still providing a structured representation consistent with that provided by the financial statements of the entity's economic resources or obligations at a point in time, or the changes therein for a long period of for a period of time. Different jurisdiction may use different terminology for historical financial statements. Let's spend few seconds here to understand. So first of all, it has to be a historical financial statement. It cannot be prospective financial statement जो हम banks के लिए हम जो projected balance sheets वगैरह बनाते हैं, that cannot be. So the important point of summary financial statement, it has to carry my historical financial information. Second, it has to be derived from the financial statement. Third, it can have lesser details from my financial statement. अगर ये same details carry करेगा तो वो differentiate नहीं होगा, जो हमने पहले भी point पढ़ा था कि अगर आप एक specific assignment कर रहे हैं, it should look different from my previous assignment. So it should have lesser information than my complete set of financial statement of entities, economic resources or obligation at a point in time or changes. So at a point in time matlab balance sheet, changes therein for a period of time matlab cash flow or my profit and loss account. अलग अलग jurisdiction में summary financial statements का नाम अलग अलग हो सकता है. So we'll go with that state or jurisdiction and accordingly take up that assignment. So again, consideration when accepting the engagement, similar to those lines जो हमने पहले पढ़ा था. Criteria for acceptance we'll understand, then we'll obtain management acknowledgement, and then we will form the opinion. Very simple. Let's understand those topics in slight more detail. So criteria for acceptance should be, first of all, we should know the nature of the entity. So these are technical points which are written in the standard itself, and I've picked up those from the standard so that I give you the entire skeleton of the standard, and as and when we go back and read the standard, you are in a position to understand and read through the standards, and you find it interesting कि जो हमने PPT में पढ़ा था वैसा सा ही है और उसी पैटर्न पे हम लोग चल रहे हैं. Second is आपके दिमाग में हमेशा आएगा, सपोज आपके जनरल पर्पस फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स अवेलेबल है एंड क्लाइंट अप्रोचेस यू, हमारे एक समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बना दो. यू विल, एटलीस्ट फॉर मी इट विल बी द फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, आपको क्यों करना है? आपका कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स है. देन ही विल टेल मी कि इस वजह से करना है, हाइलाइट्स देने हैं मुझे, या कोई ऑडिट कमेटी प्रेजेंटेशन है, या कोई और वजह भी हो सकती है. सो माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन विल गो कि why we are preparing that summary financial statements. The information needs of the intended user. So purpose हो गया. Then अब उन्होंने बोला कि ऑडिट कमेटी के लिए बनाना है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. सो माय सेकंड क्वेश्चन विल बी, अच्छा उनको क्या क्या चाहिए उसके अंदर. सो इंटेंडेड यूजर की क्या क्या इंफॉर्मेशन नीड्स है, आई हैव टू टेल देम इन डिटेल. Whether the applied criteria will result the summary financial statement that are not misleading in the circumstances. For example, अगर मैं schedule 3 के हिसाब से presentation measures लगाती हूँ और कोई item मेरा has to be disclosed separately in the balance sheet or profit and loss account, अब वो summary बनाने में वो किसी के साथ club हो जाता है, right? So is that clubbing giving me any misleading information? Was the purpose of the management to hide that particular item which was coming as a separate line item? I have to, put my antenna on and see whether the purpose is to hide or mislead some information in certain circumstances. So the criteria for presentation of summary financial statement may be established. So हमने पढ़ा था ना criteria. So criteria एक बार याद रखिएगा कि criteria मतलब basis of preparation. So criteria for preparation of summary financial statement may be established by an authorized or recognized standard setting organization or by law or regulation. Simplest example is LODR quarterly formats. So those are also summary financial statement, but वो कौन सी line item आएगी, कौन सी आप club कर सकते हो, किसके नीचे क्या आएगा, वो सब आपका SEBI की requirement से आ रहा है. So जो basis of preparation है, criteria for preparation of summary financial statement है, वो या तो authorized या recognized standard setting body से आ सकता है या regulation से भी हो सकता है. अगर वो नहीं है तो management has to set that, and then that will require a specific note by the management and by the auditors as well. तो कैसे होता है, we will understand. As I said, अगर वो criteria ना तो law से आ रहा है ना किसी organization से आ रहा है, so management might develop that, but that needs to be adequately disclosed with the nature and identity of audited financial statements. And clearly that needs to be described from whom and where the audited financial statements are available. or if the law regulation provides that the audited financial statement need not to be made available for the intended user, then it establishes the criteria for preparation of summary financial statement. इन दोनों का मतलब क्या बनता है कि अगर लॉ या कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आपका क्राइटेरिया स्टैब्लिश नहीं करता है तो मैनेजमेंट कैन एस्टैब्लिश दैट, fine, but that needs to be adequately disclosed. And the summary of nature or the relevant notes which are given in the audited financial statements are to be adequately disclosed. It might also be possible that आप उसका reference देंगे कि हमारे audited financial statements are available here and there. और अगर आपका लॉ आपको कहता है कि आपको देने की जरूरत नहीं है ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में, तो जो आपके समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो independently should have that criteria for preparation. Next, that criteria has to be disclosed, as I mentioned. And as I said, अगर आपका suppose banks का detail बहुत detail में आ रहा है audited financial statements, then there are 4 banks. Here, while summarizing, you are only writing banks. So your total of banks here should match with the separate information of the banks in different schedules in your financial statements. It should not mismatch, right? So this is a summary of my own audited financial statement. So it should not give me the wrong result or the wrong subtotal or total. Yes. So this I've already given an example for, where I am just summarizing my information. The aggregation should not be misleading. अगर कोई information इसलिए एग्रीगेट की है कि वो कोई पर्टिकुलर इंफॉर्मेशन को हाइड करना था या उसको अलग से नहीं दिखाना था, दैट शुड नॉट बी द केस. So we have to get the acknowledgement from the management for the preparation of summary financial statement in accordance with the applied criteria. So applied criteria may be of 3 types. One may be given by any authority, one by law, and may be established by the management. To make the audited financial statement available to the intended users of the summary financial statement without undue difficulty, so आपको वो उसका एक लिंक या एक आपका नोट्स में आना चाहिए कि ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स कहाँ पे अवेलेबल होंगे. सो एज आई इनिशियली सेड, मेरे जो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स होंगे, दीज आर लार्जली ड्रॉन फ्रॉम माय ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. सो एनीबडी वुड वांट टू see detailed information which are again given in the audited financial statement, or somebody might want to see कि जो मेरा revenue का total यहाँ आ रहा है वो मेरे audited financial statement से मैच भी कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है. For that purpose, without any difficulty, that should be made available to the users. And जो समरी एक्नॉलेजमेंट हमें मैनेजमेंट से लेना है वो ये भी लेना है कि टू इंक्लूड द ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट ऑन द समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट इन एनी डॉक्यूमेंट दैट कंटेन्स द समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एंड दैट इंडिकेट द ऑडिटर रिपोर्ट हैज टू बी रिपोर्टेड टू द मैनेजमेंट. ने क्या किया कि आपसे कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ऑडिट करा लिए और एक दूसरे लेवल पे आपका एक डिफरेंट असाइनमेंट के थ्रू आपने समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे भी ऑडिट किया और आपने रिपोर्ट दी. बट जब उन्होंने वो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स कहीं पे सबमिट किए तो उन्होंने रिपोर्ट डिटैच करके सिर्फ समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स सबमिट कर दिए. दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल एंड दैट इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. So we have to obtain the management acknowledgement that wherever you will submit the summary financial statement, the report on that summary financial statement will be included with that summary financial statement. एक सिचुएशन ये हो सकती है कि जो उन्होंने अप्लाइड क्राइटेरिया अप्लाई किया है दैट इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल. उस केस में द ऑडिटर शेल नॉट एक्सेप्ट द एंगेजमेंट अनलेस लॉ आपको बोलता है कि इवन इफ क्राइटेरिया इज नॉट देयर आप एक्सेप्ट कर लीजिए. The auditor's report on single financial statement shall not indicate that the engagement was conducted in accordance with this essay and include appropriate reference to the fact in terms of the engagement. So अगर वो unacceptable है तो आप auditor's report में वो indicate नहीं करेंगे that it is done in accordance with essay. अगर आपको आपने वो एक्सेप्टेबल क्राइटेरिया के बेसिस पे किया ही नहीं, तो आपने इस ऐसे के हिसाब से वो ऑडिट नहीं किया, तब आप ये नहीं लिख सकते कि आपने इस ऐसे के हिसाब से ये ऑडिट किया, बिकॉज वो स्कोप आउट हो जाएगा फिर। एंड देन अगर आपको क्राइटेरिया एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है और आपने वो एंगेजमेंट एक्सेप्ट किया और आपको लॉ बोलता है कि आपको करना है, उस केस में एक तो आप ये लिखेंगे कि ऐसे के हिसाब से नहीं किया, और आपको उसका इम्पैक्ट या इफेक्ट निकाल के भी उसमें आपको रिपोर्ट करना है, so that your report looks different than a normal report under this essay. अब as I said initially and I have been saying, जो आपके normal essays हैं वो आपके ऊपर apply होंगे, that is not something which we can run away from. उसके अलावा जो additional procedures हैं which this standard tells me to do, so we have to evaluate whether the summary financial statements adequately disclose their summarized nature, applied criteria, and identify the audited financial statement. What do we mean by identify? That हमें उसका reference देना है कि ये वहां से हमने इसको extract किया है, और those audited financial statements are available here with this or as a link on the website, etc., etc. If not accompanied by audited financial statement, evaluate whether they describe clearly. मतलब अगर आपके summary financial statements आपके audited financial statements के साथ नहीं produce किए जा रहे, then आपको evaluate करना है whether they describe clearly from whom and where these are available. As I said, अगर कोई चीज कहीं से derive हो रही है, so आप उन्हें आइसोलेशन में नहीं देख सकते, आपके पास अपॉर्चुनिटी होनी चाहिए कि आप अगर उन्हें मैच करना चाहें, कोई चीज डिटेल में देखना चाहें, कोई चीज कॉरोबोरेट करना चाहें, वो सारी चीज की अपॉर्चुनिटी आपके पास हो। सो अगर वो कंपनी नहीं हो रहे तो हमारे पास ये इंफॉर्मेशन अवेलेबल होनी चाहिए कि कहाँ से वो मिलेंगे, और the law or regulation that specifies they need not to be made available to the intended user and establishes the criteria. या ये भी हो सकता है कि मेरा लॉ मुझे बोले कि आप इसको मत दिखाइए, तो उसमें एक स्पेसिफिक क्राइटेरिया आना चाहिए कि किसके बेसिस पे वो मेरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बने हैं। Compare the summary financial statement with the related information to determine whether they agree with or can be calculated from the related information. This is not new, which I have been saying that मुझे ये evaluate करना है कि अगर मैं summary financial statements को normal financial statements के साथ match करती हूँ, तो क्या वो एग्री करते हैं मेरे, या मैं उनको रिकैलकुलेट अगर करती हूँ, विल इट मैच विद माय नॉर्मल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स। ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कि कोई इंफॉर्मेशन मैंने हाइड कर ली, डिलीट कर दी या मॉडिफाई कर दी। एंड लास्ट मुझे ये भी इंश्योर करना है कि जो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो अप्लाइड क्राइटेरिया के बेसिस पे ही बने हैं। नाउ कमिंग टू ओपिनियन पार्ट, so these are generally in the similar way what we understood earlier also. So अगर मेरे audited financial statements already बन गए हैं, so I'm not reading these lines separately. So अगर मेरे audited financial statements already audited है, so I have to make sure that which kind of audit report is presented there, right? अगर वो मॉडिफाइड है, सो मेरे समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स भी मॉडिफाइड होंगे, अगर वो डिस्क्लेम्ड है तो डिस्क्लेम्ड होंगे, अगर वो ईओएम है उसमें तो उसमें भी ईओएम होगा, राइट? सो माय समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट इज नथिंग बट अ स्क्वीज्ड इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ माय complete set of financial statement which cannot differ from my normal financial statements. Now, coming to timing of work and events subsequent to the date of the auditor's report on the audited financial statement, which is very, very important. एक example समझते हैं कि 31st March 2022 के financial statements, normal वाले financial statements were audited and the report was given in June 2022, right? But the summary financial statement assignment came to me in the month of September 2022 by the management. I accepted and I reported on that. So am I obliged to do or perform additional procedures on those few months between the time when the report on the standalone financial, the complete set of financial statement was given and the summary financial statement was given? This section tells me about that. So सबसे पहले the auditor's report on summary financial statement may be dated later than the date when the auditor's report on audited financial statement was issued, as I mentioned. In such cases, the auditor's report on the subsequent summary financial statement shall state very clearly that the summary financial statements and the audited financial statement do not reflect the effect of the event that occurred subsequent to the date, and may be a situation where the adjustments may be required because हमने उस पे additional काम नहीं किया है. What we did, जो summary financial statement हमने draw किए from the audited financial statement as a complete set of financial statement dated or reported on that date, हमने वहां से उसे उठाया और उसका summary financial statement को हमने ऑडिट करके आज हमने रिपोर्ट दिया. तो हमने उसके बीच का जो भी हमारी इवेंट्स हुई होंगी वो हमने नहीं ऑडिट किया है, और इसीलिए हो सकता है कुछ ऐसा हुआ हो विच में रिक्वायर एन एडजस्टमेंट. वी हैव टू कैटेगोरिकली राइट. अगर ऑडिटर को कुछ ऐसा पता चलता है कि एज एट बैलेंस शीट डेट, as on the auditor's report on the audited financial statement, कुछ ऐसे फैक्ट्स पता चलते हैं लेकिन जो उस ऑडिटर को या हमें ही पहले नहीं पता थे. इन सच सिचुएशन हम तब तक समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के ऊपर रिपोर्ट इशू नहीं करेंगे जब तक ओरिजिनल रिपोर्ट को हम कंप्लीटली मॉडिफाई नहीं कराते या उसमें जो भी एडजस्टमेंट्स होने हैं. So in such a situation, the auditor shall not issue the auditor's opinion on summary financial statements until auditor's consideration of such facts in relation to audited financial statements in accordance with SA 560 has been completed. That means पहले वो उसको हमें factor in करना पड़ेगा in the audited financial statement. Then only we will come back to my summary financial statements. So how to report on summary financial statements? So elements of auditor's report, very simple, just like other elements we have: title, address, introductory paragraph, management responsibility paragraph, auditor's responsibility statement, opinion, then auditor's signature, then date of the auditor's report, and lastly, place of signature. So this is normal report, but this is not alike SA 700 report, the format of which has changed. Now, this is a summary of different conclusions which we will have to draw for summary financial statement. So, हमने audit कर लिया, किस situation में हमें किस तरह की report देनी है. This is telling me how to do, what to do. So, qualified opinion on emphasis of matter paragraph या other matter paragraph कब आएगा? When the auditor is satisfied the summary financial statements are consistent in all material aspects. So the report on summary financial statement should report on the audited financial statements which contains qualified opinion, EOM or OM. Describe the basis of the same and effect. So अगर मेरे complete set of financial statements में already कोई qualification, EOM या other matter paragraph आ रहा है, वो मुझे replicate करना है आपके summary financial statement में, उसका basis भी replicate करना है और उसका effect भी देना है. Adverse opinion, disclaimer of opinion on complete set of financial statement अगर already है, so report on summary financial statement should also state that the statement that report on audited financial statement also contains disclaimer or adverse opinion, describe the basis, and statement that result of the above, it is inappropriate to express opinion on summary financial statement, right? So अगर जो चीज मेरे मेन ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के ऊपर है वो मुझे देना है, अगर वहां पे एडवर्स ओपिनियन है तो मैं यहाँ पे एडवर्स ओपिनियन ही दूंगी. I cannot have my own opinion on summary financial statements. Unmodified opinion in audited financial statements, but modified opinion in summary financial statement. वो भी possible है. कैसे? आपके जो मेन रिपोर्ट थी मेन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे वो क्लीन थी, लेकिन आप किन सर्कमस्टांसेस में मॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन दे सकते हैं? जो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं आर नॉट कंसिस्टेंट इन ऑल मटेरियल रिस्पेक्ट और इट्स नॉट अ फेयर समरी ऑफ माय ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट. मतलब पहला स्टेप तो ठीक था, मतलब ऑडिट हुआ, मेरे सारे assertions थे, ठीक थे, मेरी पूरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे आई हैव गिवन द ट्रू एंड फेयर व्यू. लेकिन जब मैंने उसको समराइज किया तब वहां पे आई डिड नॉट डू द जस्टिस टू दैट समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट पर्पसफुली और बाय मिस्टेक. वो समरी वाज नॉट कंसिस्टेंट इन ऑल मटेरियल रेस्पेक्ट. मे बी रेवेन्यू का नंबर गलत था, मे बी कुछ एडवांस वाली फिगर थी वो मैंने डेटर्स में ले ली वाइल प्रिपेयरिंग द समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, और वॉट एवर. मैंने नोट्स जो मुझे कैरी करने चाहिए थे मैंने नोट्स कैरी नहीं किए, या जो प्रेजेंटेशन फॉर्मेट था वो मैंने कैरी नहीं किया. दे मे बी एन नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स. सो इन स्पाइट ऑफ द फैक्ट माय ओरिजिनल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैड अ क्लीन रिपोर्ट, I am not obliged to carry a clean report if I am not satisfied that my summary financial statements are truly representative of my main financial statements. सेकेंड केस कब हो सकता है? जब मैनेजमेंट डज नॉट अग्री टू मेक द नेसेसरी चेंजेस. सो हमने हाईलाइट किया, उन्होंने मान लिया, उन्होंने करेक्ट कर दिया, देन आई विल ऑल्सो गिव अ क्लीन रिपोर्ट. लेकिन अगर मैनेजमेंट एग्री नहीं करता है तो मुझे आई एम अंडर नो ऑब्लिगेशन टू गिव अ क्लीन रिपोर्ट, आई विल गिव अ मॉडिफाइड रिपोर्ट. Restriction on distribution or usage of alerting readers on the basis of accounting. So जब भी हम audited when distribution or use of auditor's report on audited financial statement is restricted, or auditor's report on the audited financial statement alerts that the readers that the auditors of the financial statements are prepared in accordance with the special purpose framework, or auditor shall include a similar restriction in the summary financial statement. So as I said, agar mere original financial statements were restricted for a particular purpose, I will also restrict my summary financial statement for a particular purpose. और या अगर वो special purpose framework, कोई भी situation में मुझे summary financial statements में ये restriction of usage देना है. Comparatives. So what are comparatives? जब भी हम किसी भी financial statements में पिछले साल की figures देते हैं, वो comparatives होते हैं. So if audited financial statement contain comparative, but summary financial statement do not contain, the auditor shall determine whether such omission is reasonable. So ये हो सकता है कि आपके जो complete set of financial statements हैं, उसमें आपका comparative था, लेकिन जो आपके summary financial statements है उसमें आपका comparative नहीं है. That is acceptable. So law ये नहीं कहता कि उसमें होना चाहिए, क्योंकि आपका summary financial statement may be for a specific purpose. लेकिन ऐसा तो नहीं ना वो purposefully कोई last year की figure को hide करने के लिए या malified intention से किया. So we have to apply our skeptical mind for that. उसका इफेक्ट क्या होने वाला है हमारे रिपोर्ट पे, वो हमें एनालाइज करना है. अगर समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट कंटेन कंपैरेटिव दैट वर रिपोर्टेड बाय अनदर ऑडिटर, सो जो हमारी ऐसे 7110 की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है जहां पे हम पूरा डिस्क्लेमर देते हैं दैट द प्रीवियस ईयर ऑडिटर वर समबडी एल्स एंड दे हैड गिवन एन अनमॉडिफाइड रिपोर्ट डेटेड दिस दैट, वो आपका यहां पे भी अप्लाई होगा. Unaudited supplementary information. So these are some bit of piece information जो आपके इस स्टैंडर्ड में दी हुई है. अगर आपके कंपैरेटिव है तो आप क्या करोगे, अगर आपकी मेन रिपोर्ट क्वालिफाइड है तो आप क्या करोगे, अगर आपका अप्लाइड क्राइटेरिया अवेलेबल है या नहीं है, या वो लॉ ने बताया है या वो मैनेजमेंट ने खुद स्टैब्लिश किया. Those kind of small things are clarified which we are doing in pieces, right? So unaudited supplementary information है जो आपके समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स के साथ आप प्रेजेंट करें. फॉर एग्जांपल आपका ऑडिट हो गया कंप्लीट सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का, और उसमें कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन ऐसी थी जो लॉ रिक्वायर नहीं करता था या जो जनरल पर्पस फ्रेमवर्क के साथ नहीं जाती थी. लेकिन अब जब आप समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट बना रहे हो, मैनेजमेंट ने कहा आप ये भी इसमें इंक्लूड कर दो. सो इन विच सर्कमस्टांसेस कैन दोज बी इंक्लूडेड, व्हाट इज माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एज एन ऑडिटर टू have allowed those information to be produced with the summary financial statement, ये वो information है. So अगर कोई भी unaudited आपकी information आपके summary financial statement के साथ जा रही है, then what is your responsibility? सबसे पहले So first of all, we have to evaluate whether such information is clearly differentiated from the summary information. मतलब ऐसा ना हो कि आपके summary financial statements में जो आपने audit किया उसके बीच में they have inserted the information. जैसे CSR की information आ रही है तो उन्होंने CSR के projects डाल दिए जो कि आपने audit नहीं किए, किसी और ने audit नहीं किए. आपने कोई बैंक की इंफॉर्मेशन डाली, उसके साथ उन्होंने अपनी कुछ और इंफॉर्मेशन डाल दी जो विच वॉज नॉट सब्जेक्ट टू ऑडिट और विच इज नॉट सब्जेक्ट टू ऑडिट नाउ ऑल्सो. सो वी हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल दैट जो अनऑडिटेड है वो अनऑडिटेड बिल्कुल क्लियरली मार्क्ड होनी चाहिए. इफ द मैनेजमेंट रिफ्यूजेस टू डू सो, मतलब वो क्लियरली मार्क करने के लिए नहीं मान रहे, सो आपको एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ेगा कि ये जो इंफॉर्मेशन है इज नॉट कवर्ड इन दैट रिपोर्ट. अगर उन्होंने बीच बीच में घुसा भी दिया और वो उसे अलग नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप एडिशनली लिखेंगे कि दैट सेक्शन, दैट दिस सेक्शन is not subject to audit and we have not done that. If the entity's presentation of such information is not clearly differentiated from summary financial statement, the auditor shall ask management to change the presentation of such information. So एज एन ऑडिटर अगर मैनेजमेंट एग्री नहीं कर रहा है उसको अलग से दिखाने के लिए, सो हमें मैनेजमेंट को हर तरीके से वी हैव टू कन्विंस. अगर वो कन्विंस नहीं होते, एटलीस्ट हमें अपनी रिपोर्ट में कवर करना है दैट दिस पार्ट इज नॉट ऑडिटेड. सिमिलरली कई बार क्या होता है कि बाकी इंफॉर्मेशन अदर देन दैट भी इंफॉर्मेशन इंक्लूडेड होती है जो हमें पढ़नी होती है या हमें साथ में देनी होती है. जैसे आपने अदर इंफॉर्मेशन का जो कॉन्सेप्ट है वो आपके ऐसे 700 वाली रिपोर्ट में भी आता है. सो ऑडिटर इज ऑब्लाइज टू रीड अदर इंफॉर्मेशन टू आइडेंटिफाई मटीरियल इनकंसिस्टेंसीज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू योर समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स. एंड देन अगर मटीरियल इनकंसिस्टेंसी आप आइडेंटिफाई कर पाते हैं, देन वी हैव टू determine whether the summary financial statement or other information needs revision. For example, आपने अब हम जो CSR की बात कर रहे थे, तो CSR के numbers और projects की information आपने as an obligation which is mandated by MCA you have given as a part of financial statements or summary financial statement. लेकिन other information में भी उसका कुछ piece आ रहा है या उसकी कोई information आ रही है, अगर वो consistent नहीं है, so we have to make sure that these are consistent. अगर ऐसी कोई इंफॉर्मेशन है तो हमें मैनेजमेंट से डिस्कस करके वी हैव टू गेट दैट रिवाइज्ड. ऑडिटर्स एसोसिएशन, दैट इज अगेन a piece of the standard itself. So if the auditor becomes aware that the entity plans to state that the auditor has reported on a summary financial statement in a document containing summary financial statement, लेकिन वो उसे okay, let me explain it to you in a different way. So जैसा मैंने आपको बोला कि आपने अगर कोई ऑडिट किया, कोई भी सेट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट आपने ऑडिट किया, मैनेजमेंट ने ऑडिट कराया, हमसे रिपोर्ट ली, लेकिन जब उसने प्रोड्यूस किया उसने वो रिपोर्ट हटा ली. और हो सकता है कि जो जिस समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स को हमने ऑडिट किया उसमें से कोई इंफॉर्मेशन ऑल्टर्ड हो, मॉडिफाइड हो या कोई पेज हटा के दिया है. सो अगर हमें पता चलता है दैट एंटिटी प्लान्स टू स्टेट दैट द ऑडिटर has reported on summary financial statement in a document containing a summary financial statement but does not plan to include the related auditor's report, the auditor shall request management to include that also. So suppose उन्होंने किसी bid के लिए वो summary financial statements बनवाए, लेकिन bid में उनको पता चलता है कि वो सिर्फ summary financial statement लगाएंगे, हमारी audited report नहीं लगाएंगे. We have to make sure to convince the management to include our auditor's report along with that summary financial statement, because audit report के बिना तो that is not complete, no. So अगर management मना करता है, so हम लोगों के पास एक we should take appropriate action. So this is a replica of the previous page only, but here it says the auditor has to satisfy in that situation that the reference to the auditor's report is made in the context of the auditor's report in the audited financial statement, and that statement does not give the impression that the auditor has reported on the summary financial statement. So अगर management मान जाता है that आप हमारा जो भी audited है आप उसके साथ उसे लगाइए, लेकिन अगर वो नहीं मानते तो हमें मैनेजमेंट को ये बोलना है कि जो भी आप समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट लगाओगे उसमें आप फिर कहीं पे भी नहीं लिखोगे कि ये ऑडिटेड है. आपने अगर उसको ड्राफ्ट लगाना है, अनऑडिटेड लगाना है, योर चॉइस, लेकिन अगर आप हमारी ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट साथ में नहीं लगा रहे हो तो वो ऐसा इंप्रेशन नहीं देना चाहिए कि वो जो है आपने उसको ऑडिट कराया है. आपने ऑडिट कराने के बाद भी उसे अनऑडिटेड साउंड कराना है, आप कराइए, लेकिन वो कहीं पे भी अगर आप उसको ऑडिट रिपोर्ट के बिना लगा रहे हैं तो दैट शुड नॉट साउंड लाइक ऑडिटेड. अगर वो ना ए मानने की मान रहे हैं ना बी मान रहे हैं, देन वी हैव टू टेक appropriate action. Yes. Now we are coming to the end of the session, which is giving you some of the examples of illustrative reports in different scenarios. There are 5 or 6 illustrations which are given in the standard itself. So first of all, just read the caption first carefully. ये summary financial statements हैं जो कि established criteria के हिसाब से बने हैं. Unmodified opinion issue की थी audited complete set of financial statements पे. एंड जो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं वो हमने बाद में बनाए हैं क्योंकि उसकी ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट की डेट मेन रिपोर्ट से अलग है, और ये जो समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स हैं ये हमने मेन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से डराइव किए हैं, एक्सट्रैक्ट किए हैं. सो नॉर्मल एड्रेस्ड टू द बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स, एन अप्रोप्रिएट address has to be written, and we have given a background that accompanying summary financial statements comprise of balance sheet ye wo, and it has clearly mentioned कि हमने unmodified opinion issue किया था on complete set of financial statement पे, और उसकी डेट हमने उसको दी थी. और एक और कैटेगरी के स्टेटमेंट जो हमने पढ़ा था, that those financial statements and the summary financial statement do not reflect the effect of events that occurred subsequent to the date of our previous auditor's report. So this is a very very important point which I mentioned कि सबसे पहले आपने क्या ऑडिट किया वो आपको बताना है, वो मेन रिपोर्ट से विड्रॉ हुआ वो आपको बताना है. हमें ये भी बहुत कैटेगोरिकली बताना है कि वो वाली रिपोर्ट मॉडिफाइड थी, अनमॉडिफाइड थी, उसकी डेट क्या थी. एंड लास्ट ऑन दिस पैराग्राफ विच इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इज दैट कि जो भी टाइम लैप्स हुआ उस रिपोर्ट से आज की डेट तक, ना तो मैंने मेन रिपोर्ट पे कोई काम किया, ना मैं समरी रिपोर्ट पे, और उसका कोई भी अगर इम्पैक्ट आता है तो इन दोनों रिपोर्ट पे हमारा कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं आ रहा है, राइट. एक सेकंड पैराग्राफ में उन्होंने समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में एक बहुत ही कैटेगोरिक स्टेटमेंट दिया जिसमें उन्होंने बोला है कि जो भी सारे डिस्क्लोजर्स हैं विच आर रिक्वायर्ड एज पर अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड अंडर कंपनीज एक्ट आर नॉट कंसिडर्ड बिकॉज ये समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट है, इसीलिए दीज आर नॉट सब्सटीट्यूट फॉर auditing, for reading the complete set of financial statements which are audited by ABC Limited, or of the ABC Limited. Management responsibility, auditor's responsibility. Now opinion paragraph, which is very important. In our opinion, the summary financial statement derived from audited financial statement, which is a very very important statement to make for the year ended. Fair, ये fair presentation framework उन्होंने use किया है, and these are prepared in accordance with AS under section 133 of the Companies Act, and amended over accounting principles generally accepted in India. So I hope I'm clear in telling you that every standard has a specific requirement. अगर ये छोटे छोटे points जो हमने बात की है कि अगर management established criteria नहीं देता है, या आपके मेन रिपोर्ट में कोई क्वालिफिकेशन है या एडवर्स ओपिनियन है, तो आपकी समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स कैन नॉट बी अवे और कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू हैव दैट सेम काइंड ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग. वो सारे छोटे छोटे पॉइंट्स हैं जो हमें लिटरेचर पढ़ के ही समझ आएंगे. मतलब we cannot afford to miss these points while we are using any specific standard. So as I said, reading करने में बहुत आसान लगता है, लेकिन जब हम मैक्रो लेवल पे सब चीजें देखते हैं, जैसे एक इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट जो मैंने आपको बताया कि इसका जो रिपोर्टिंग फॉर्मेट है दैट इज स्टिल नॉट अलाइंड विद एसए 700 सीरीज. सो मोर प्रूडेंट इज टू गो विद दिस फॉर्मेट. we might have different opinion and nothing is incorrect. So अगर हम वो ऐसे वाले के हिसाब से अलाइन करते हैं, I don't think that will be absolutely incorrect, and I think I have seen mixed practices also. So क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगता है स्टैंडर्ड को भी रिवाइज नहीं किया गया है, तो जो स्टैंडर्ड में फॉर्मेट है दैट इज मोर प्रूडेंट वे टू फॉलो. इलस्ट्रेशन 2 क्या कहता है? An auditor's report on summary financial statement prepared in accordance with the criteria developed. So वहाँ पे एक established criteria था, यहाँ पे criteria management ने develop किया है. Auditor ने वो अप्लाई किया है, एक्सेप्टेबल है उसको। अनमॉडिफाइड ओपिनियन थी मेरे ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में। सो सिमिलरली सिमिलर पैराग्राफ जिसमें हम लिखेंगे अनमॉडिफाइड है, क्राइटेरिया मैनेजमेंट ने स्टैब्लिश किया है, एंड जो क्राइटेरिया मैनेजमेंट ने स्टैब्लिश किया दैट इज गिवन इन पैराग्राफ नंबर 2 अंडर द हेडिंग मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स। और यहाँ पे नोट्स का रेफरेंस भी आ रहा है बिकॉज वो इट्स डिफिकल्ट टू राइट दैट बेसिस हियर एंटायरली इन द रिपोर्ट इटसेल्फ, सो ऑब्वियसली यू विल ऑलवेज गेट अ रेफरेंस टू द नोट्स टू द अकाउंट्स। अगर हम ओपिनियन देखते हैं तो दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट टू रीड। इन आवर ओपिनियन द समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आर derived similar to the previous example and it gives a fair summary of financial statements on the basis, हाँ ये basis लिखना बहुत जरूरी है बिकॉज ये established क्राइटेरिया रेगुलेटर वाला नहीं है जैसे हमने उसमें एएस पढ़ा था। ये क्राइटेरिया मैनेजमेंट ने स्टैब्लिश किया है और वो मैनेजमेंट से कहाँ से आ रहा है, वो आपके नोट्स से आ रहा है। थर्ड में क्या चेंज है, इसमें हमने पूरा चीज नहीं रेप्लिकेट किया, सिर्फ ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ रेप्लिकेट किया है क्योंकि डेवलप्ड बाय मैनेजमेंट है तो शुरू वाले पैराग्राफ सारे सेम होंगे, मैनेजमेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी पैराग्राफ से सेम होगा एंड ये एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी भी सेम होगी, लेकिन इसमें क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन है। सो क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन मतलब लार्जली बहुत सारे तरीके या बहुत सारी वजह हो सकती है क्वालिफिकेशन की कि समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स जैसे हमने पढ़ा था कि समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स आर नॉट ट्रू रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ माय नॉर्मल फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स, या फिर उन्होंने कोई इंफॉर्मेशन हाइड की, या फिर वो रिकंसाइल नहीं हो रहा है, या फिर कोई ऐसी चीज है जो ऑलरेडी उसमें क्वालिफाइड थी तो आपको भी वो क्वालिफिकेशन कैरी करना पड़ेगा। देर आर मल्टीपल रीजंस। सो यहाँ पे जो मुझे दिखाई दे रहा है वो वैल्यूएशन ऑफ इन्वेंटरी से रिलेटेड कुछ है एंड आई एम श्योर ये आपका मेन रिपोर्ट से आ रहा है। अगर आप सेकंड पैराग्राफ देखते हैं, ये मिस स्टेटमेंट मेरा ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से आ रहा है और हमने सिमिलर क्वालिफिकेशंस को कैरी किया है। फोर्थ एग्जाम्पल है मैनेजमेंट ने डेवलप किया है और एक्सेप्टेबिलिटी है और एडवर्स ओपिनियन है। तो सिमिलरली जो एडवर्स ओपिनियन वहां पे थी वो एडवर्स ओपिनियन हमें समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में भी कैरी करनी पड़ेगी। सो हियर दे हैव written it in a very different word, denial of opinion, otherwise we write disclaimer of opinion, both are correct. Illustration 5 what they have given is established criteria hai, unmodified opinion hai, auditor concludes that it is not possible to express, so disclaimer of opinion. So disclaimer of opinion इसमें summary financial statements के ऊपर ही लग रहा है मुझे। देखते हैं क्या लिखा है। Yes, in our opinion because of the significance of matter described in the basis of adverse, so basis of adverse में क्या लिखा है, describe matter which has caused summary financial statement does not give fair summary of audit. Yes, so यहाँ क्या specific case है कि आपका जो main report था वो ठीक था, लेकिन जब आपने समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बनाई तो वो फेयर समरी नहीं बना पाए आप। इट इज नॉट अ ट्रू रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ योर मेन ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट एंड देयर आर सम लैप्सेस व्हाइल प्रिपेयरिंग दोज फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट। इसीलिए ये जो एडवर्स ओपिनियन है ये सिर्फ आपके समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे है, मेन फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट से कैरी नहीं हो रहा है। That's it from my side. I think I'm on time. My apologies if I was running a bit faster, which I'd never intended to. I was going on a same pace, but I could make it well within time. So we can open up for questions. So please feel free to write. And I promise to the extent of my capabilities, I will try to address your queries. But in spite of the fact that I have good 19 years of experience, but things are always new to a professional, so I never overcommit. So in case anything which requires any research from my side, I am happy to do it and get back to you within 1 day's time. So please feel free to write your queries to the portal, whatever is being given to you, and I will keep getting the queries, or sir will tell me. I don't think I have received any queries so far on my WhatsApp so far. Sir, any query?
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. I have received certain queries. I am asking one by one, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I have received certain queries, and the post webinar, if I'll receive any query, then I'll certainly forward to you. Ma'am, first question is, you have, yes, ma'am, you have dealt with amortization of bonds. So amortization of bonds and their valuation. please can you guide us the suitable audit program for how to do this for the amortization of bonds and their valuation?
Sir, this is not as such relevant to these standard as such, but
Yes, 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 yes.
But I will try to share my experience. So amortization of bonds, you're asking, right?
Yes.
So amortization of bonds. So first of all, we have to understand the relevant framework wherein you are doing the audit of. So first of all, you have to understand, is it a corporate entity or a non-corporate entity? If it is a non-corporate entity, it will be driven by accounting standards which are issued by ICI. If it's a corporate entity, it will either be covered under normal accounting standards as per AS rules, or if it is the entity which is covered under India's regime, then your financial instrument standards will come into picture. So first of all, we
Yes.
have to understand the underlying framework. Then accordingly, we have to see whether the company has done the proper accounting as per the applicable framework, whether AS by ICI or AS by MCA or Ind AS by MCA. Accordingly, first of all, my first objective is to see the correct and appropriate accounting which is being done by them. We have to go through the underlying agreements for that bond. What are the terms of the that bond and amortization thereof, and then I will have to plan my entire program accordingly.
Ji.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, do you mean to say that SA 800 will be applicable to those audit reports in which warrants EOM?
Sorry, that's the next question, right, sir?
Relating to the next part.
Sir, as I didn't understand your question, but I just summarize these three standard first, and then I will ask.
First one, yes.
I will ask your query again. So SA 800 specifically talks about the special purpose framework. SA 805 talks about audit of a specific element of standard of financial statement, or like cash flow statement, fund flow statement, or any item thereof like cash, bank, debtors. और जो मेरा last SA 810 है, that is very different. That deals with my summary financial statements and audit thereof. So ये सारे के सारे जो तीनों मेरे स्टैंडर्ड, these are related to historical financial statement. So कोई भी prospective नहीं हो सकता है. आप बताइए सर, क्या क्वेरी है?
जी, a member is saying that SA 800 will be applicable to those audit reports which warrants EOM.
नहीं, EOM तो मेरा 700 की सीरीज में जाएगा ना. EOM तो मेरा किसी में भी आ सकता है. EOM मेरा 800 में भी आ सकता है, 805 में भी आ सकता है, और EOM मेरा 810 में भी आ सकता है. सो जैसा कि मैंने पहले भी बताया था कि जो मेरे नॉर्मल स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं, चाहे वो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन से रिलेटेड है, चाहे वो मेरे एविडेंस कलेक्शन से रिलेटेड है, चाहे वो रिस्क असेसमेंट से रिलेटेड है, वो सारे मेरे इन तीनों स्टैंडर्ड पे भी अप्लाई होंगे. अब जहां पे बात आती है डिस्क्लेमर ऑफ ओपिनियन हमें कब देना है, क्वालिफाइड ओपिनियन कब देना है, EOM मुझे कब देना है, वो मेरे नॉर्मल स्टैंडर्ड से डराइव होंगे. वो स्टैंडर्ड को हमें इनके साथ मिला के पढ़ना है, और इस स्टैंडर्ड में अगर हम फॉल करते हैं तो रिपोर्ट हमारी इस स्टैंडर्ड के हिसाब से बनेगी. फॉर एग्जांपल, जो मैंने आपको बोला था 700 का जो फॉर्मेट है, जहां पे ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ पहले आता है, ऐसे 805 में ओपिनियन पैराग्राफ मेरा पहले नहीं आता, तो मैं फॉर्मेट तो ये फॉलो करूंगी, लेकिन EOM किस सिचुएशन में हमें यूज करना है, कैसे ड्राफ्ट करना है, जैसे उसकी एक स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट होती है जहां पे हमें लास्ट में लिखना होता है माय ऑडिटर्स रिपोर्ट इज नॉट क्वालिफाइड टू दिस एस्पेक्ट. वो गाइडेंस यहाँ से नहीं आ रही है, वो गाइडेंस वहां से आ रही है. तो वहां से वो गाइडेंस ड्रॉ करके इस स्टैंडर्ड में उस चीज को मर्ज करके मुझे रिपोर्ट इस स्टैंडर्ड में बनानी है. Am I clear, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ जी सर.
Ma'am, at the time of winding up or closure of the private company, CA needs to issue SOA, Statement of Assets and Liabilities, to be certified. So where will this be covered in this assets?
Assets and liabilities. सो सर ये देखिए मेरा ऐसे 800 में भी फॉल कर सकता है क्योंकि एक स्पेशल पर्पस फ्रेमवर्क हो गया जहां पे मुझे लॉ रिक्वायर करता है कि आपको एसेट एंड लायबिलिटी बनाना है।
जी
ठीक है ना, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है ऐसे 800 वुड बी मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट टू यूज इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन बिकॉज वो एक स्पेशल पर्पस फ्रेमवर्क है विच इज मेंट फॉर लिक्विडेशन अकाउंटिंग।
yes ma'am. Yes, ma'am. One member is asking, can we do a GST audit which is not mandatory under the guideline of SC 805?
नहीं सर, ऐसे 805 इज स्पेसिफिकली मेंट फॉर एनी आइटम ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट और एनी स्मॉलेस्ट यूनिट देयर ऑफ। जीएसटी ऑडिट इज इटसेल्फ अ सेपरेट काइंड ऑफ एन ऑडिट जो कि मुझे ऐसा लगता है किसी और फ्रेमवर्क में जाएगा। वो जो मेरा एक गाइडेंस नोट है ना, स्पेशल पर्पस ऑडिट एंड सर्टिफिकेशन, आई थिंक ये वहां चला जाएगा।
Can
क्योंकि
SFS be compared with limited review of financial statement, madam?
SFS?
Yes, SFS be compared with the limited review FS.
मैं समझ नहीं पा रही, मतलब आप क्या पूछ रहे हैं सवाल?
क्वेश्चन है मैम, कैन SFS be compared with limited review FS?
SFS जो मैंने अपने 805 में लिखा था, SFS यहाँ पे लिखने का मतलब था ये समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स। सो अगर आप LODR में देखते हैं, LODR का भी जो हम फॉर्मेट यूज करते हैं वो भी समरी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स होते हैं, ठीक है ना, लेकिन वो लॉ से गवर्न होता है तो मैं कोई और फॉर्मेट यूज नहीं कर सकती हूँ, मुझे वो सेबी की ही रिक्वायरमेंट फॉलो करनी पड़ेगी।
जी 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 मैम, one question is how an auditor will come to know as to what the management is going to publish? Is it necessary for the auditor to specify the above in his letter to management to safeguard his or her interest?
सर देखिए, a lot many companies are doing lot many things, they are publishing different reports, so unless we are approached by the management for any specific engagement, we will not come to know what all they are going to publish. That is at the first place. So I will more specifically concern myself for the engagement which I am doing. For example, I am doing the audit of a receivable under SA 805. So I will get all the comfort and evidence related to the audit of SA 805, any declaration or representation which I need to take from the management related to that assignment only I can get. I cannot get him signed a global statement that please do write what all certifications you're doing. Right? I will confine myself to a specific engagement and items related thereto. So if I am going for a limited review assignment for and as per the requirement of LODR, whatever representation letter I take from them, that is only related to that. I cannot take any certification from them for any IPO which way they might be undergoing or they might go in future. So I will confine myself to the related engagement I am assigned for.
Yes, ma'am. As recently, ma'am, you have clarified, one member is asking again, can SFS and FS audit do the same auditor?
Can SFS and?
Can SFS and FS audit do the same can be done by the same auditor?
So here SFS means summary financial statements and full financial statements. Yes, sir. It should ideally be done by the same auditor. For a very simple reason, the management will not have to undergo the same process of explaining and doing that audit. Though there is no bar of being done by others, but it is better that it should be done. And the question was, can be? Yes, can be done.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, second last question. I have two more questions. Ma'am, what is unaudited supplementary information?
Unaudited supplementary information is something, any subsidiary information which is related to any item which has already been audited. For example, I have been taking an example of CSR. So in my financial statement, I have already, as per the compliance of MCA requirement, I've already given my ongoing project and non-ongoing project and ongoing project details. And the management had given me limited information regarding the projects they are dealing in. So they had given certain information regarding certain projects which they published in the financial statement. I audited, I verified and given. Further, while I was preparing the supplementary financial information, they had given the contact details of certain project holder or NGOs, which I never audited. So these are supplementary information related to something which was audited by me, but now this is not something which I have audited. So this is in relation to an audited information.
Yes. Ma'am, last question. When you qualify summarized audit report, whether original auditor of the financial statement is going to be affected?
It depends. So I had given certain instances where my summary financial statements will be qualified. The mostly used way or reason for me is to carry the same information which is given in the original financial statement. For example, so the last example which I had shown on my screen, that the inventory was qualified in my main financial statement. So I am under an obligation to qualify my summary financial statements for the inventory. So my original report will not get impacted. Similarly, if there is something which is fairly presented in my initial financial statement, but I have not given a fair summary of it in my summary financial statement, I am obliged to qualify. But on the contrary, my initial financial statements which were audited, which were fairly presented on a particular date, will not get impacted. Unless there was one example where I had mentioned that that post year end there is something which existed on the balance sheet date or the report date which the previous auditor was not aware. So if the new auditor or the same auditor comes to know at a later date that there was something which will impact my previous report also, which needs to be rectified, barring that situation, if my summary financial statements are qualified for different reasons, my initial report will get intact.
Fine, ma'am. So now we come to an end, ma'am. Thank you so much. On behalf of AASB of ICI, I extend my heartiest thanks towards you for sparing your valuable time, as well as in spite of having very, very busy schedule and very busy week, you have spared these 2 hours, and of course, you have spent so much of time in making the presentation also, and you have justified with your presentation and with all your solution to the queries raised by the members. So once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time and enlighten all of us on various intricacies relating to both these standards. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity again to share my views, and hope I could do justice to the 2 hours allotted to me to
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks everybody to be patient. Thanks everybody to be patient listening. And see you again. Thank you so much.